Well, voters have about 2.5 hours to make their voices heard.
We have team coverage for you tonight. Jamie Ostroff and Karina Chung keeping a close eye on the primary races for governor.
And Eric Halperin and Alan Henry, they're keeping an eye on the Senate primaries. The entire nation is watching those as well. Let's begin with Alan, live at Duke Energy Convention Center in Cincinnati, where Republican candidate J.D. Vance going to be watching the results come in. Alan, give us an idea of what the mood is there.
Well, Brad, as you can see behind me, there are not a lot of people here at this support watch party yet, but J.D. Vance and his team are hoping this will be the site of a victory party tonight. The Republican primary, of course, has a lot of candidates in it, but if there's one candidate who could claim support heading into this election day, it is, of course, J.D. Vance. It was just a few weeks ago, you might remember, that he got that much coveted endorsement from former President Donald Trump, and that propelled him into the lead in some of the polls. But it's another endorsement that Vance talked about this morning after casting his ballot. Last month, the anti-abortion group Ohio Right to Life gave its endorsement to Vance. Vance touted that endorsement this morning as he discussed that leaked opinion from the Supreme Court, seemingly showing the court ready to overturn Roe v. Wade.
I think that the opinion, if it came down that way, would be a victory. You know, I'm the only candidate endorsed by Ohio Right to Life. I'm very proud to have their support, and I do think Roe was a big mistake. I'd love to see the Supreme Court undo it. The thing I do worry about, though, is the leak. Most likely, I'm just guessing, don't know, but my guess is that the leak was caused to try to bully the conservative justices to not overrule Roe. I hope that they stand firm, and I hope they do the right thing, but we'll see.
Now, the convention center here is about 35 miles south of where Vance grew up in Middletown, Ohio. You can see the flags and the signage behind me there, but behind those is a separate room, the War Room. That's where Vance's team and perhaps even Vance himself will watch those results come in tonight, and that's when they'll determine whether they're giving a victory or defeat speech here. Local 3 in Cincinnati, Alan Henry, NBC4.
Alan, thank you very much. We will check back in with you. Vance, part of a crowded field. 6 other candidates on the ballot today, including State Senator Matt Dolan, businessman Mike Gibbons, former State Treasurer Josh Mandel, businessmen Neil Patel and Mark Paquita. Jane Timken also on the ballot, former chair of the Ohio Republican Party.
And tonight we'll know which Democrat will be on the ballot when it comes to Ohio's U.S. Senate race come November. The field in this race much smaller than the Republicans. Only 3 Democrats will split the votes tonight. NBC4's Karina Chung is live in Columbus, where U.S. Representative Tim Ryan is hosting his watch party. Karina?
Hey Jen, everything is still getting set up here at the watch party, but Tim Ryan spent his election day morning at a series of roundtables in Eastern Ohio, speaking with local labor leaders, workers as well.
All right, obviously some problems with Karina's signal. So we know that Ryan is no stranger to Washington, D.C. First elected to the House of Representatives in 2002, serving Ohio's 13th congressional district for the last 9 years. Much of his campaign has been aimed at working families in Ohio, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, expanding union protections, opposing harmful trade policies. Ryan also wants Ohio to lead the charge in energy, specifically wind and solar power. He's spoken about the Build America, Buy America bill, which calls for American-made products to be used in federal infrastructure projects.
Well, there are 2 other progressive challengers from Columbus we're keeping an eye on. Morgan Harper, a lawyer who worked at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and Tracy Johnson, a business owner. However, Ryan is favored to win the nomination tonight.
Governor Mike DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Jon Husted, they're asking Ohioans for another 4 years in office today. NBC4's Jamie Ostroff is in Grandview. The pair hosting a small gathering as the results will be coming in later on this evening. Jamie?
Yeah, Brad, we're in the early stages of the setup here tonight at a pretty small event, what it's looking like based on the size of this room. But DeWine and Husted running on a platform of economic achievement, hoping that will carry them through this primary. Both of them smiling as they went to the polls and cast their vote today. The DeWines casting their ballots in Cedarville. Ohio's second couple did so just a few miles from where I am standing in Grandview Heights here in Columbus, telling voters how simple it is to make their voices heard.
Once you walk in the door, the process will be easy for you. This is a primary election, so you can choose whether you're voting Republican, Democrat, or just an issues-only ballot. The process is very easy. Make your voice heard and get out there and vote today.
You have until 7:30 to do that if you have not already, but to land on November's ballot, Husted and DeWine need to fend off challengers Joe Blystone, Jim Renacci, and Ron Hood. Once they learn the results of today's primary, they are expected to take the stage. Right behind me here tonight, people are expected to start coming into this room at around 7 o'clock. Local for you in Grandview, Jamie Ostroff, NBC4.
Jamie, thank you. Two former Ohio mayors are trying to become the Democratic nominee for governor. Former Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley and former Cincinnati Mayor John Cranley squaring off in the primary. NBC4's Eric Halperin is covering this race for us from Cincinnati. Eric?
Jennifer, John Cranley was a two-term mayor here in Cincinnati. Nan Whaley, a two-term mayor in Dayton. Cranley and his supporters and his team are going to be watching the results come in at this restaurant behind me just across the street from the Great American Ballpark. Here is some video from earlier of Cranley and his family voting this morning. Throughout the campaign, he's often said he can be the one to lead Ohio in a comeback. He said that again to reporters today, discussing the growth he was a part of in Cincinnati. Both candidates say they have plans to bring more good-paying jobs to the state. Whaley got the endorsement of Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. Here's some video of them at a last-minute campaign stop at a Columbus community center today.
For Cheryl and I, it's been about how Ohio deserves better, that we want folks' pay to go up, their bills to go down, and their government to work for them. And so that means making sure one good job's enough, no matter what part of the state you live in. We need to raise wages for all Ohioans.
Embracing diversity and inclusion and investing in education, infrastructure, clean energy, these are values that work, and that's why our city's growing. And if we bring those same values to the state of Ohio, I think Ohio can have a comeback.
And polls show there is no clear front-runner in this race. Local for you in Cincinnati, I'm Eric Halperin, NBC4.
Going to be an interesting night there, Eric. Thank you very much. NBC4, your local election headquarters. You can count on us for the very latest updates, both on air and online. Results coming in live, NBC4i.com when the polls close at 7:30 tonight.